Hey everybody, good afternoon. This is Andrew at Telestream. I'm the product evangelist for Telestream's Wirecast and ScreenFlow software. And today we are here to announce, I'm so excited to tell you this, it's been a long time coming. We haven't been able to tell anybody yet until today, but we are live with ScreenFlow 6, which you can see, this is the new logo, and my hand's getting cut off right there. But this is very exciting. We've been working on this for months, and we've been kind of back in the workshop, adding new things, adjusting new things, doing some testing, doing lots of little fine tweaks and stuff, and finally it all came together. We wanted to hit today for our release date, and we made it, and we hope you've heard about it and that you're going to love it as much as we do. So I think today we are going to cover some of the new features in ScreenFlow. I'm going to get my wire down my shirt a little bit more here so it's not hanging out right there. Oh, still hanging out. Let's maybe pull from the bottom. And once we do that, hopefully I can tour some of the cool stuff. And I think this would be something that we can do for a while. We can actually, there's a lot going on in ScreenFlow 6, a lot of new changes, a lot of cool things that you may have wanted that weren't there before. And so I will, we'll come back to this. And there's some really powerful new features in ScreenFlow that are going to dynamically increase the production power of your projects and what you can do with it. I was playing with it all morning, actually doing some animated GIF stuff, which is one of the new features. And the more I mess around with it, the more I love it and realize that this is, I'm glad, I'm not going back, right? I'm on 6 now to stay. So I hope that you will feel the same way that I do about it. What I want to do maybe is we can start by talking about what's new, what's changed. And for that, I'm going to show you my desktop, and we're going to go to the Telestream website. So you all have access to this. This is live right now at telestream.net. And I can zoom in here for you, telestream.net. This is the main page. If you are not familiar with it, click on ScreenFlow. These are our desktop applications, ScreenFlow, Wirecast, Switch, lots of good stuff here. But ScreenFlow is on the left. Click on ScreenFlow. If you click on the thumbnail, you'll get a video, which is a great video. Probably you just watched it. But we're going to close that. We're going to click on ScreenFlow, the actual link below the video. And that'll take you to the overview page with some other great video links you can check out when you have time. But we're going to head over to the What's New page, And that is going to give you a tour of all the cool new features that we've added. So you can see here, a couple of the ones that I'd like to cover today are just these top two. We're going to cover partial screen capture, and we're going to cover animated GIF export. So you can now capture just part of your screen, and any part you can crop, you can do all kinds of neat things to your projects. A lot of people have requested this over the years. This has been probably one of our #1 requests besides ScreenFlow for Windows. This has come in a lot and come up a lot. And up till today, you had to capture your entire screen and then crop out the parts of your project or your screen that you didn't want later. That wasn't a bad way to work. In fact, it was a very efficient way to capture. It was kind of a workflow thing where it was easier to just grab everything on your screen from an encoding standpoint, and that way you would never miss content or have anything off screen. The encoder didn't have to worry about parts of your screen, what to record, what not to record, and it could very efficiently keep the file size really low because, in fact, it was only ever going to capture the parts of your screen that changed. So if you were sort of, all the action was up in the upper left side of your screen and nothing was happening down here, don't worry about it. This wasn't going to make your file size all that much larger. So a lot of people needlessly worried that if they didn't have partial screen capture, their file sizes would be gigantic. I'm here to tell you that was never a big concern. The main thing that partial screen capture does, it doesn't reduce your file sizes, but what it does do is it saves you some time on the back end. Now you can pre-crop your projects. You no longer have to worry about, I was only ever focused on this one window or this one part of the screen, and I have to just readjust everything in post during the editing process to cut out the parts of the screen that don't matter. Now you can just, if you know where you're going to be working ahead of time, you know what part of your screen, there's only, maybe you have 1 million windows on your screen, there's just one window you want to capture, ScreenFlow can do that. So why don't we dive in, I'm going to show you, I'm excited to show you this. So launch ScreenFlow 6. You'll see the new welcome window. There's some slight design tweaks and changes. It looks better than it did before, a little cleaner. And if you drop down here through the different panes, you'll recognize this. A lot of this came in ScreenFlow 5. But one of the cool things that you'll notice is this new button right here, which is called the Setup and Start Partial Screen Capture button. And you'll enter sort of a screen or region selection mode once you click on it. Same things apply from previous version of ScreenFlow, so you still need to check whatever devices you want to record. If you have a particular screen that you want to record, do that. We're going to start with that. And then any other devices from your iOS device to your computer audio and so forth. If you're recording from, say, your built-in microphone, you'll have that, as well as any video cameras that you have connected. Check all those boxes. But once you've decided what you want to record and you know that you're going to record just a window or a single application or a part of your screen, that's when you start setting up your partial screen capture by clicking that window. And you'll enter into the region selection mode. And this is super cool. What you have here is a transparent section with a marquee around it that tells you the area of the screen that you're going to record. This is totally customizable. You can resize it to any dimension that your screen will allow, and you can reposition it just by clicking and dragging in the center. The corners are totally adjustable, so you can adjust both the X and Y size at the same time, and it'll give you a handy pop-up there. I'm actually going to zoom in on that a little bit. Handy pop-up that tells you the exact pixel dimensions that this area will record. The other thing you can do is you can adjust both any bounding side from the bottom and left, and just adjust the height or just the width and so forth. So you don't have to use both at the same time. Very cool. So now just the height is changing. And of course, there's this cool control box or control panel down at the bottom. You know what the red record button does. Once we click record, it's going to start recording. This will cancel out and go back to the configure recording window. So no big deal there. And then the other cool thing is this handy pop-up menu, which will give you preset sizes. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. Preset sizes. So let's say you already know you're going to publish to YouTube or Vimeo, and you're going to do an HD size. So this is really handy for Mac users on, say, laptops, which have the 16 by 10 dimensions. You always had this problem where the dock at the bottom was, you had that Apple screens were not HD size. They weren't 16 by 9, they're 16 by 10. So you always had a little extra at the bottom that was going to get cropped off, which was your dock or around there, or at the top. Or if you tried to fit your whole screen in, you'd get the letter boxes, the pillar boxes on either side of the video, which could be a little frustrating, and you didn't necessarily want that. You wanted a full screen video to play in your YouTube player or your Vimeo or wherever you were publishing your videos. Now with partial screen capture, you could have a 16 by 10 video screen or monitor, and then record on it in an already preset 16 by 9 dimension space. So we're going to choose, say, 1920 by 1080. And actually, this monitor that I'm working on is already a 16 by 9, so this won't. Let's go with 1280 by 720. And if we zoom out here, you'll see you already get an area that's predetermined and preset to a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, which is awesome. Now you know that this is the only area of the screen that you should capture in or work in, because then you can get a full screen capture. Very neat new feature. You can also, of course, if you already know dimensions you want, to enter the custom size manually rather than have to individually drag to get the dimensions you want. So a lot of flexibility. The other thing I want to show you that's really neat, let's say you don't really care about the dimensions. You're not really thinking about, I don't need 16 by 9, I just want to capture this one window, whatever size it is. Well, again, we got you covered on that. Using, very similar to your screenshot tool on Mac, if you hover over any window that's open and you hold the space bar, ScreenFlow is going to adapt to that size, which is awesome. So it's going to instantly capture. I'm actually going to move this over. Let's say you've got a window. I'm going to escape here. We've got this window open. going to jump into the partial screen capture mode, and then I'd hit the space bar, and ScreenFlow will jump and adjust to that window size, which is rad. Once it's already adapted to the window size, you don't need to worry. You can start recording, and now anything that's happening in my Chrome window is going to get recorded, plus any of the devices that I checked. So it's going to record. You also notice there's a new overlay on the countdown timer, so it tells you what devices you're recording in case you forgot to check one. It'll remind you right before you're about to go live, like, oh yeah, I forgot to check my microphone because it's not on the list there. So that's new too. Now, anything that I do in Chrome or in this window is going to get recorded into my ScreenFlow project. So I encourage you to head over to the website and check out the What's New page here. There's some really cool videos that just show you very quickly what the new features do. And I think over the next couple weeks of broadcasting, we will cover a lot of these. We just don't have time to do all of them. So if you want to get a sneak peek or jump ahead, feel free, come here and check out these different tools. So I'm going to stop recording now. Actually, stop, not pause. And that's going to pull up the new recording. And ScreenFlow is going to tell me that we're new and we're welcome. And you can see that I have a project already set to just in fact, the Safari window that I was using. It wasn't Chrome. So really easy, I hope. That makes sense. The new partial screen recording, I'm not having to resize anything here. There's nothing off screen. The project is set to just the window and only the window, and everything got recorded. And I'm happy because I've saved myself some time by predetermining the area that I want to record rather than having to come back later and crop out the parts that I didn't want or resize them to the areas that I didn't like. So leave a comment if you have questions about partial screen capture or anything that I just showed you there. We can throw the comments actually up on the screen here, and we can go through them before we talk about the next feature. So the first one I'm seeing here is from a name I can't pronounce, but assume that's in a different language, and I'm not even going to guess which kind, which language. But we need a better display of the pause and currently recording icon in the top left bar. So let's check that out for a second. If we hit record again, I think you will have seen this. Check this out, if you didn't already know this. So when you're recording, I'm going to zoom in up here so you can see. When you're recording, ScreenFlow's quick access menu has the record button on. When you pause, it should change to a pause button, so you know that you're paused. And if you want to resume, it'll come back to the way it was. So I'm hoping that's what you're talking about. And if you're not, then let me know if there was something else you were curious about. We can stop recording, and then the camera's just empty. It's blank. And I'm just going to discard that recording because that's all I was trying to do. All right, so let's talk about, it was a good question. Bring back the old icon. All right, well, I'm sorry, we moved on. We're moving upwards and onwards. We're not going to bring back the old icon. This, though, is inspired by the old icon. You can see that. And you should have your ScreenFlow 5. You can print out that icon and post it on your wall or frame it in a picture if you like. They're all really cool. But yeah, no, this is the new one, and we're excited by it. All right. No, okay, so you did get back to me. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Apansab. Could you phonetically spell that in English in a comment, and then I can pronounce your name correctly? Bronislav. Oh, Bronislav. Oh, you did. Awesome. Thanks, Lucas. I didn't notice that. Bronislav. All right, Bronislav. Also, we need to not record the audio volume up and down transparent animation that appears in front of everything. Are you talking about like when? Say again. When you change on a Mac. When you change on a Mac. Yeah, like when you go up, down, down. Yeah. The volume slider pops up on the screen. Oh, that's what you're saying. Got it. Like when you're adjusting volume like this is, you can't see it, but I totally get what you're talking about. Yeah. You know, Bronislav, one of the ways that I'm actually adjusting my volume right now and you're not seeing it pop up on my screen during a recording, that does annoying. Those Mac overlays can be really obnoxious. Sometimes they'll ruin a recording, and I totally get that. You have to redo a take. It's a kind of a pain. And then, yeah, so you feel it's not obvious enough when it's up in the corner. The idea behind that, Bronislav, is that we didn't want the recording icon to be too obtrusive. So if you're doing a screen recording, you don't want massive icons. ScreenFlow records what's on screen, so there's no exceptions to that rule. So as you know, with that kind of stuff, it doesn't ignore that stuff. Stuff that it can ignore are stuff like the mouse, which gets recorded into its own file, and you can make that disappear. It kind of gets its own layer. But things that are part of the UI, like this, have to be sort of unobtrusive. I hope that makes sense. A lot of this stuff comes down to subjectivity, too. One person wants it one way, another person wants it another way, and we just have to make a call. So, you know, as awesome as ScreenFlow is, there may be things that you'd want to change about it, just like anybody else would want to change to customize it to suit their needs. But we just have to make, you know, the best possible version we can make that fits everybody, and we can't please everybody all the time with every feature. But we'll do our best. We'll look into that. If you have other suggestions, we love the comments, so thanks for leaving those there. I really appreciate you getting active here on the live feed. That's exactly why we do this, so we can have a conversation and go over these features with you. All right. So Jack, let's see, I think that's all the comments for now. So why don't I show you the next feature I wanted to talk about, which is the animated GIF feature. All right, let's open a new project. Don't save. I'm going to open I'm just going to do a new one from scratch here. We'll make it a 1920 by 1080. Although I'm not sure I recommend this size for GIFs. You may want to do something a little smaller. Maybe we change some of this too. You could change to 720 by 480, something like that. Maybe we'll start with that. So make a smaller project if you are doing animated GIFs. GIFs are cool, right? Like they've kind of come back in. They're an ancient format from like the 80s, and they've come back into popularity because of internet memes and because they are very easy to share with, you know, very little encoding. You don't need a player for them. They're just a series of images that load and then play in a loop. They are not the most efficient encoding format, so you will get smaller sizes with H.264 and things like that, but those are harder to play, and you can't necessarily embed those in an email, whereas a GIF you can under certain size limits. So GIFs are great, and they have their uses, and so in ScreenFlow 6, we've added them. That was a big popular request. I would not call ScreenFlow 6 a built from the ground up GIF editor. Like those are, there's a lot of them out there that, you know, that's what they're designed to do from the ground up. But one of the neat things about this feature is it's still very powerful, and you can take a piece of your project or your video and export it as a GIF if you want to make little thumbnails or promos or social memes that you want to share to help promote whatever the content is that you're making. We've made it really easy to just do that natively inside ScreenFlow. So let me show you how that works. I want to add a video element or project. Maybe we can just add some media here. I'm going to go to my pictures folder. I hopefully have an icon. I'm probably going to use the Wirecast logo here because that's just in my library. I'm going to pull that into my project. And this is just a PNG file, transparent PNG logo. Going to pull that in, and let's say we want to animate it jumping up and down. So this is easy. So we've got a very cool new feature, and I can talk more about these maybe in another broadcast, but for now I'll just touch on them. We've added really amazing new animation tools to ScreenFlow 6, and we've even added a new tab here called the Motion Video tab. So if you click on this tab, you'll see you can actually add video motions and create an action. Easy to do. So let's do that. We're going to add an action that should pop up on our timeline here. And just like with ScreenFlow, which is maybe a little bit out of the view space here because the ScreenFlow logo might be in the way, we can go to, I'm going to move this over so you can see. This, just like a video action, you want to start somewhere and you want to end somewhere. So I'm going to start at the top, and at the end, I'm going to move it down to the bottom. I'm going to hit this effect, and I'm going to change, so I check the effect box to add that. And again, I'll cover more of this later, but we have 3 effects for you to choose from. These are different animation properties that do different things to the element. And so I encourage you to explore them, see how they work. But gravity is a very simple one from going from top to bottom. You can animate a cool gravity effect. And at the end, we want it to end right about there. So we start at the top, we drop it down, and maybe at the end we need to drop it up maybe a little higher. Okay. So it's like it's hitting the floor, it's falling from the ceiling and hitting the floor and bouncing up. And then we're going to click this lock to box here, which sets the time for the animation to run its full course. You don't have to do this, but you may. If you don't check this box, your animation may be too short or it may be too long, and you could get some jumping or some truncating or some slowing effects that you may not like. So the lock to effect, the lock to box basically makes sure the effect will match the amount of action that needs to be animated to make the animation meet the requirements that you've set for it. And there's all these other sliders down here, and depending on what you slide those to, they'll need more time to animate. So by hitting the lock to box, ScreenFlow will automatically adjust the length of the action to get everything that you want to happen into that period of time. And that means that your animation box may go longer or shorter than you would do it yourself. So that's the downside, but the upside is that you get a very smooth looking effect. And you can see here on my timeline, my action box actually doubled in length. So let's just hit the preview button here up in the left, and you can quickly preview the animation. And you get this awesome looking little animation that would have taken you a really long time to manually go up and go down, and you'd have to sort of generate your own physics in ScreenFlow 5. Now the physics are taken care of by this advanced animation algorithm. And I'm still not too happy with the end result of where it ended up, so let's go there. Now let's try previewing again. There we go. Perfect. So I've just animated a little logo drop here. You can play around with the elasticity. Elasticity, if you move it up, let's just see that. It's going to bounce a lot higher, and it's going to be a lot more rubbery. So you can see let's preview that. It's basically like changing the bounciness of the ball. And then the strength is, what is the resistance that it's facing to go up or down? It's almost like the gravity level that you are setting. So again, we can make the strength really high. Boom, boom, boom. Just depends. And if you go really low with that, you see as the action had to go way longer and has slowed way down. So I'm going to pick a nice middle of the road length, right about there. Let's preview that. All right, good enough, right? This is just a demo of the GIF feature, not the animation features. Now what we're going to do is we're going to export the project. And actually, I need to go back to the beginning, because otherwise I'm going to get some black dead air at the beginning. I've got a 5-second long clip. Looks good. I'm fine with that. Go to export. And then from the preset menu, you can go to the bottom and select animated GIF. And here you have a few controls over it. So you can set the size. In this case, I think our size is about right. You can use motion blur, which I like on mine. And then you can customize the settings for your animated GIFs. You can include different frame rates. You can try a different color space. Everything you do here is going to affect the size of the GIF. And so you want to keep GIFs small, usually 3 to 5 megabytes at most, or less. A GIF that's 10 or 20 is huge. So try to stay away from those larger file sizes, unless for some reason you need them. And we can go export that to the desktop and hit export. And I'm in the demo mode here. I haven't activated my license. And let's check it out. I'm going to pull this over. Okay, there it is. Let's check it out. Sweet. And we just made an animated GIF. And the size here, in case you're curious, we are 1.7 megabytes. So not bad, right? I might tweak that, make it larger. It depends on what I was doing. Maybe bring in some text. Just all that's going to change the size. But that is how animated GIF exporting works. So, Bronislav, looks like you have some other feedback here. That's awesome. You wrote a lot here. It will take me a little while to go through this and understand it. So why don't I get back to you on Facebook? I'll comment back after I've had a chance to sit a little bit with your comments and see if there's something I can do with that. In the meantime, yeah, it looks like you've got some feedback, some feature requests. Do you have can you split an entire project into chapters and then export those as chapters? It looks like that's your question. And no, we haven't added that to 6. So I've heard of that request before, and I think that makes sense for people who are, using long projects with lots of different sections and don't necessarily want to spin up a new ScreenFlow document for every single chapter of their file. They'd rather just split off different sections. You can do that a little bit with by exporting certain regions of your project, but that's not really going to help you in a batch export situation. And the project markers and chapter markers don't necessarily always hold up in all other software. It depends on what other software I think recognizes those chapters. So that's kind of the best answer I can give you at the moment, but I'll spend a little more time thinking about it, and maybe if there's anything else that I don't know right now or can share with you later, I will. All right, you guys, so that is ScreenFlow 6. Those are a couple of the new features. As I said, there's lots more to cover, but those are the kind of exciting ones at the top I wanted to at least cover quickly. If you have questions, please reach out to us on Facebook, leave a comment, or you can always contact us through our website at the contact page. I'm going to pull that up in case you don't know where that is. It's at the top of our page, telestream.net. You go to contact, and you can contact our sales team. You can also contact our support team. And those would be either the desktop application sales or desktop application support. Our social team is available. Myself, Alexis, some of the other team members are always on social media, and we can usually answer you that way, as well as some of our support folks. So it's a good way. If you have a quick question, you can tweet us or you can leave a comment on Facebook, and we will get back to you through those methods. I hope that was helpful. I hope this was kind of fun. We did want to give you a quick tour, quick preview of ScreenFlow 6 and some of the new things that you have available to you, including what we covered today, which is the partial screen capture, animated GIF export. We covered some of the new motions and animations which you can do, but there's a lot more. There's multi-channel audio mixing and new waveforms, which should be more efficient and faster and more accurate. You've also got a lot of cool stuff. So I hope that you enjoyed today's broadcast. We'll be back next week at ScreenFlowLive, same time, 2:30 Pacific time, here on the Telestream ScreenFlow Facebook page. Thanks so much for tuning in. Leave a comment if you like this, and let us know what other things you'd like to see or know about. Bronislav, I will follow up with you through comments or through Facebook and get back to you if I have some more answers to your questions or your future requests. All of that information is valuable to us. We try to make ScreenFlow the best possible product it can be, and we hope you like this. I highly recommend you upgrade now. By the way, if you bought ScreenFlow in the last 30 days, brand new, you bought ScreenFlow 5 and you paid full price for it, you get a free upgrade to 6. So we don't want to penalize you for buying 5, say 5 days ago, and then just come out with 6 and expect you to pay an upgrade for that. We don't expect you to do that. If you purchased recently, within 30 days, you get a free upgrade to ScreenFlow 6. So you should have been aware of that. If you upgraded to ScreenFlow 5, let's say you were on ScreenFlow 3 or 4, and you upgraded to ScreenFlow 5 in the last 60 days, then you can also qualify for a free update to 6. So 60 days if you're an upgrader. If you upgraded in the last 60 days, you get a free upgrade to 6, and 30 days if you purchased recently within 30 days. So I hope that makes sense, and please contact us if you have questions about that. Thanks so much. I'm Andrew Haley. I'll see you next week.